Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the India Today Group, it is my privilege and honor to warmly welcome to stage a visionary, a bridge builder, and a true friend of India, His Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Al Zeyoudi, the UAE's Minister of Foreign Trade and Minister in charge of Talent, Attraction and Retention. Let's give him a very, very warm round of applause. Dr. Thani, we thank you for taking time out to deliver this inaugural keynote address at our first conclave here in UAE. And Your Excellency has been central in the transformation of economic ties between India and UAE. You were instrumental in pushing through the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement in February 2022. And I think not only with India, but a whole range of countries. I think you earned the title of Mr. SEPA when we were chatting with the ambassador here. And today, 3 years later, we stand in this city of dreams and ambition, as Arun Puri had just said, to see the fruits of your vision completely visible and ticking. Bilateral trade for India, between India and UAE, has more than doubled from the $43 billion that you signed in 2022 to over $84 billion last year, and is expected, I think, Ambassador Sanjay Sudhir is here, expected to cross $100 billion this year. This has made UAE India's third largest trading partner and second largest export destination globally. Under your leadership, the India-UAE partnership has moved decisively beyond oil and remittances, and now non-oil trade between our nations has grown by nearly 14% year on year, with Indian exports to the UAE touching $35 billion. And of course, we are at a very, very important time in this world, particularly with the recalibrating of its trade routes, the diversification of supply chains, and a tremendously turbulent geo-economic landscape. Through all this, the SEPA, the India-UAE SEPA, has brought economic resilience, and despite the big churns that's there. Now, beyond bilateral trade, the UAE and India are now shaping new regional frameworks that you are spearheading, which will define the next era of global commerce. And you have, sir, a very, very key voice in the initiatives like the I2U2 Alliance, bringing together India, Israel, the UAE, and the United States to foster collaborations in key sectors like clean energy, food security, healthcare, and advanced manufacturing. More recently, we have seen at the launch of the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC for short, which places UAE at the very heart of a transcontinental supply chain connecting Mumbai to Europe via Jebel Ali. So, while trade and transport are key pillars, talent and skills are the real engine of economic growth. Here again, Excellency, your work is nothing short of transformative. As the Minister in charge of Talent, Attraction and Retention, you have spearheaded initiatives like the Next Gen FDI, which has already attracted over $2 billion in global investment and helped over 180 foreign firms, and happily including India, which has enhanced the scale of operations in the UAE. Your Excellency, may I now request you to deliver the keynote address on the new trade winds that is blowing across the world, and what are the opportunities and challenges it holds for India-UAE partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, let's again welcome His Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Al Zeyoudi.
Thank you so much, Raj, for the introduction. Let me start by calling my dear friend and brother, the Ambassador, Excellencies, colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and namaskar. A warm welcome to the UAE, to those who have been traveled to be with us today. And I'm really delighted to address the first India Today Conclave, which brings together policymakers and industry leaders from both nations to further strengthen the ties between the UAE and India. In an era of a continuous geopolitical and geo-economic shifts, it's vital we reaffirm the bonds of friendship with our closest partners. And today's inaugural conclave, titled Partners in Progress, is a reflection of a long-standing relationship between both nations, UAE and India. And our economic bonds that extended back to before the foundation of the UAE in 1971. But in May 22, we opened a new chapter in our shared history. The historic UAE-India Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreements aligned our respective national visions and created powerful platform for a long-term mutual beneficial growth. Each day provides new evidence of its value, whether it's increased trade, more investments, or great private sector cooperation. The figure speaks for themselves. Last year, in 2024, our non-oil bilateral trade climbed to $65.4 billion, an increase of almost 20.5% in 2023. And that complements the non-oil with oil numbers, which has been mentioned by Raj. And I'm sure the ambassador is going to as well report on the Indian numbers based on their financial years, which already exceeded the targets which we have set for ourselves. Based on the growth, the 20% growth which I just mentioned, it's almost more than 10 times of the global trade growth average. And we are also seeing investment flows translate into real-world projects and high-impact enterprises. In the last month alone, we have seen cross-border collaboration that will support solar, wind, battery storages in Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh, develop aquaculture projects in Andhra Pradesh, and see a new low-cost airline, Kerala, take flight. But our nations are bonded by far more than just commercial ties. In March, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, Crown Prince of Dubai and Deputy Prime Minister, undertook his first state visits to India, where he was received by His Excellency Modi. During the historic visits, His Highness witnessed the agreements in sectors such as healthcare, infrastructure, and higher education, and many others, and attended the launch of DB World's new free trade warehouse zones in Mumbai. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is what a partnership in progress looks like. As we confront the challenges of the changing economic landscape and embrace the technological shifts that are reshaping every aspect of it, we must continue to deepen our connection and enhance our collaboration. There is no doubt that we are seeing gravital shifts in the global economy. Capital is flowing eastward towards the high-growth markets of Asia and Middle East. Talent is seeking new opportunities in our cities where entrepreneurs and innovations are prized and rewarded. And we're seeing, again, a reverse migration for many of the talents back to our region. And trade is flowing across the globe south as new economic blocks and alliances to develop and strengthen the supply chain and connect developing nations. We're going to speak later about our SEPA in more details, but the UAE and India are both well placed to accelerate all of those trends. And together we can create an economic corridor that can place us at the heart of these developments. This is a moment of genuine possibility, and we hope today's discussion will help us to expand the reach of our trade deal to ensure more sectors are benefiting and more private sector and business people are gaining the value from those engagements. And reinforce our commitments to work together in areas such as renewables, advanced manufacturing, agri-tech, food production, AI, logistics, financial and professional services. Through the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreements, our leadership has created a bridge between our countries. Let's ensure that we're maximizing the opportunities it provides to all of us and to deliver the prosperity we all seek. For those, again, who are coming for the first time, welcome to UAE. Wish you a very pleasant stay. And for those who have been here, wish you all the best in continuing your growth and looking forward to continue working and collaborating with you all. Thank you.
Let's give a very, very warm round of applause to Dr. Thani. Please do sit down, sir. His Excellency has very kindly agreed to take a few questions and has always been known as a man of succinct speeches, but full of substance. And let's start with what you had said. In terms of the diversification, SEPA has built, now it's 3 years, and has really blossomed. Where do you see it going ahead? What are the opportunities that you think India could come in? And what else would you advise young entrepreneurs to do?
Thank you, Raj. Very interesting question. And if you look at the global free trade agreements, deals that has been signed in the last 10 years, the majority has been done by the developed countries with developing countries. And it's very rare to see developing countries working together. The UAE and India sent a signal that when South-South nations gets together, they can come up with a very powerful message, powerful outcomes and values to each nations and to the rest of the South-South nations. The beauty about our agreements, we went beyond the normal bureaucracy and the normal orders from the developed countries, which the majority or most of the times, they're not trade and economic related. And it's a very strong message, because we've been questioned when we started the negotiation with my dear friend Piyush. Are we going to close this and finish it in a short time? Everyone was questioning, and everyone was doubting. Oh, India is so difficult. You guys will never finish it, and it will take times. And at the same time, you guys are part of the GCC. You will never do it, because you will be stuck in with the legalities of the GCC. And less than 88 days, we concluded it. Why? Because the vision is clear. The vision is economy and trade and investments. We did not bring the non-trade and non-economic matters into the negotiation. And that's why when the vision is clear and the transparency between both parties shows the way, things moves quickly. What are the lessons learned from here? South-South can work together, they can complement each other, and they can grow with each other. And you will never be harmful to your neighbors as long as there is a transparency between this. And we're seeing now India is moving with many other agreements, because they're almost, the other countries that are coming here, they're saying, oh, how you do this with India? We want to do it the same way. And we get that from New Zealand, from Australia, from UK, from the EU now, which we're coordinating. I'm coordinating with the Indian and Piyush to work with the EU as well. So this strengthening the relation, and this as well keeps the momentum in ensuring that the network of trade is growing. Second main message here is that if we really want to have an impact on economy and business, we have to ensure that consultations with the private sector, which both nations did it very well. The Indians were consulting the private sector, and same thing from our side, and that's why we reached this level. And I have to admit as well, I've been consulting with the Indian businessmen. I want to see how can we ensure that they're benefiting from the agreement. So it was not only for the UAE companies, but also for the Indian companies. Why? Because we're a trade hub. A trade hub means that many of them will use us for other destinations, not only for the UAE market. So when you see the bigger picture, things moves much easier, and you really achieve those numbers quicker as well. Even we set it for ourselves by 2030, but we already start harnessing the results almost 5 years before the timeline.
Moving forward, one of the issues, and you mentioned that, is talent and the skill gap that you find. India has a tremendous amount of demographic dividends that it can expend, and we've already done that in UAE with the numbers that have come. How do you see skilled workers coming in from India? What is the potential for them? Where are the avenues? And how do you see, what can UAE do, for instance, or what are you all doing to encourage that?
Let me distinguish the talents to 4 categories. High net, ultra high net individual, the high net individual, our wealthy people, then the skilled labor and non-skilled labor. So those are the talents that we're looking at. My file is targeting only the 3 ones, because the last one is with the Ministry of Human Resources and Labor. In the first 3 ones, we start engaging with the private sector to ensure that we're building the right ecosystem for them if they want to move here and work from the UAE. And we'll start seeing movements of many of the talents, not only from India, from the rest of the world, that wants to have a base here in the UAE. And guess what? They're not only coming alone. They're coming with the senior managements with them who are really talented in many files, talented in legal, talented in finance, talented in HR, talented in IT, and. So when you have a specific incentives and attractive course of actions to those different categories, you will have the secondary talented who are going to be associated with those people who are going to move. Now, speaking directly about India, we're really proud to be one of the hosts for in diaspora who are living and calling the UAE as their home, and they're growing from here, and they're as well using the logistical and connection from the UAE to the rest of the world, and they're growing. And many of them as well, they started their businesses from here, and they're becoming billionaires, investing in Africa and many parts of the world. And they're not calling themselves as an Indian companies, they're calling themselves as an Emiratis companies. That is complementing as well the industry's movements and boom in India, because their dependence on some of the factories that is coming through the UAE to those parts of the world wherever they're investing. And you guys are fortunate because you do have very talented IT people. And we're seeing the movements of IT to the country. And the AI transformation is going to be heavily dependent on the talent. And India is one of the main source of the talented when it comes to technology and digitalization. So for sure we see another sector which we're going to work together on. But again, just to summarize the answer, we see talent, they're flying and they're moving to the UAE. We're working and we're having accessibility for those who are not able to move to the UAE. We're going to India and we're doing our investment there, so we're using the talent back home. And we're going to continue working with the talented people from India.
Thank you. One of the areas that we've looked at, and in fact this was the suggestion of Arun Puri, our editor-in-chief, when we were inviting various ministers to come, he said, let's look at the states. Because at the end of the day, it is the states that does the nuts and bolts policy of any CEPA agreement. And you mentioned Andhra Pradesh in your talk. We have a Tamil Nadu minister coming here to talk to us, the Andhra minister to talk, as well as in the evening, the minister from Maharashtra to come and talk about how they see the potential. But from you, what would be your advice be to states? Because now you're directly dealing with a lot of them, the ambitious chief ministers that are there. What do you see as the opportunities for the states, and how should they approach the UAE to enhance their investments?
See, it's the same situation with us and the UAE. We're a federal nation, and the Emirates are the one who's leading the operation and the implementation of those agreements. It's exactly the same with India. Both federal governments did their part. Now the local states and Emirates has to take the implementation forward. And without them understanding what is the CEPA, what are the potential, and how we're going to move forward on the full speed of implementation, will not harness the results that we want to see. But there are three main messages that I want to send across to both sides, local Emirates and state level. Efficiency, capital does not wait. If they don't get quickly accessibility to the lands, to the approvals, to the right stakeholders, they will move somewhere. So efficiency is very critical. And second one, we have to move quickly with the changes that is happening. And the changes is technology. We don't want to apply whatever has been there for the last 20 or 25 years again. Technology has been evolving, and we have to make use of those changes that is happening in technology. And the third one, which is an important one, we have to trust ourselves. We have to trust ourselves.
Right.
Trust is very critical. The good thing about us, there is a trust, but we always remind ourselves. Trust is always critical. Now we're living in an era where trust is totally missed globally, and we have to ensure that we maintain this trust between ourselves, so we can maneuver around the geoeconomics and geopolitical that's facing the world now.
Very interesting phrase that you used, which adds to the lexicon of capital. You remember the famous movie that said money never sleeps? Now capital doesn't wait. I think we all need to learn that, apart from the technology part that you talked of, and trust. Coming to the elephant in the room, we have US President Donald Trump apparently just coming into the UAE, and there's been a tremendous churn across the world with the kind of initiatives that he's taken. I'm using a very polite word. But how do you see India and UAE navigating through this very vastly different trade universe that's happening?
At the end of the day, President Trump is a businessman, and he wants to strike a deal.
Right.
Striking a deal means that he's looking at it from an added value to US. We have to look at the same thing from our own angle. If there is no added value, why we're entertaining such discussion? And it's going to be always the case. The good thing about Trump and him being a businessman, he sits on the table and start negotiating. yes, he raised the bar of his demand at the beginning, but he's a businessman. He listens, which means that if they see a value which is going to be brought to the US, he will accept it. And we have to know what we want, and we have to as well be clear, and we should not let go. We have to be very bold in our position, and we have to negotiate so we can get our interest on board as well. We don't want things to be only one-sided. For both UAE and India, I think we managed to do this in the last 4 or 5 years. Diversity is critical. No matter how your strategic ally and a strategic partner is important and critical to you, diversity is important. You have to ensure that there is alternate supply, investment sources, and markets to anything you do. Because you don't want to be harmed for 1 day or for 1 year. At the end of the day, you're going to be harmed. So diversity is very, very critical. We'll do our negotiation. We'll ensure that our interest is there, but we'll have to make sure that there is a diversity and there is an alternate for anything that we do with anyone.
I'm sure Mr. Piyush Goyal, your counterpart from India, is listening to this good advice that you're giving. Let us move to another area, which is the IMEC. And for whatever reason, some parts of that IMEC is not functional. But the India-UAE part is one of the key logistic areas that is there. How do you see that growing? And how do we, even as we see the churn that's happening from Israel to that side, how do we start working these things in and ensure that certain parts of this are fitted in before the whole big picture appears?
I think I had this discussion with the ambassador a couple of times and with many of our other colleagues as well. IMEC is a very complex and massive project. Includes many of stakeholders, nations, governments, and private sector as well. If we aim to do the whole projects at once, we're just fooling ourselves. And we have to make sure that every segment that is happening is moving. So then we'll connect the dots between them. Is the discussion between us and some of the European countries is happening? Yes, it's happening between us and Italy, between us and Greece, between us and Spain. It's happening between us and Jordan. And it's moving very well with India.
Right.
But as long as the segment is moving, let's continue. One segment's success is going to replicate or to push the others to move. Again, the project is going through a very massive economic line, which goes through lands with many of instability or geopolitical tension nowadays. And you don't want to sort out those until you connect the whole project. And I think what we have done in the last 3 years now, 2.5 years with India is amazing, because it shows that we're going to continue regardless what is going to happen in the other segments. And this segment is going to be connected to another segment. What do I mean? Before answering this, what we have done with India so far, many of the ports are connected, many of the movements is happening, virtual corridors is moving, systems is connected with each other, and the flow we're seeing reflected in our bilateral trade. So the numbers is going to be reflecting the success of this segment's implementation, which we're already seeing, and we're going to continue to push for that, and more good things to come, inshallah. Now, how this is going to be connected to other segments? We're not only working on IMEC, we're working on the north-south corridor. We're working on the development corridor between Iraq and Turkey. And guess what? The numbers is amazing. The shipments from Turkey to the UAE used to take 28, 29 days. Now it's taking only 14 days.
Wow.
Because of that development corridor from Turkey to Iraq, Al-Basra, and from there by sea to UAE. 14 days. And guess what? Now we're working to beat ourselves. We're working toward reducing that timeline to 7 to 8 days. But is that going to be connected to the IMEC, to the India segments? Absolutely. That will be another opportunity for the Indian traders, businesses, logisticals to go to that route. Again, the key word here is diversity. If one route is not working and it's taking its time, we'll continue working on it. But you have to open another route, and you should not stop. Stopping it means that you're losing, and there's no time to cause any losses for the private sector.
You know, listening to you, and the success that UAE has, if you could just give us 4 or 5 tips. I mean, you did talk of the surprise that you had when you came to India and everybody talked of the bureaucracy and everything else. You were able to speed up things. What lessons can India learn from the way UAE does business, and what tips would you give?
Well, there are few things which we have to take into consideration. First one, don't believe all whatever is heard, especially from media. With all my respect to my colleagues from media, you have to go and meet people and understand the situation and sort it out. So don't believe anything you hear.
Right. Except India Today.
No, exactly. Yeah, because he's doing the interview. You have to go and meet the colleagues directly and ensure that you understand each other. So that is one. The second one is when it comes to the real implementation, you have to have a clear vision and don't change your policy. You change your tactics, but the vision has to be clear.
Right.
If you change the vision, you're just fooling yourself because you will not be able to achieve it. And the third one, you have to ensure that the mechanisms are available to achieve this KPI. Don't depend on the conventional way. If it has not been successful for the last 20 or 30 years, it will never happen.
Right.
Because it's already been tried. If it's tried once and twice and third and failed, just come up with a new way of doing things. And the fourth one, let's not replicate and duplicate whatever the Western did in our own market. We have to tailor it. We have to customize things to our own ecosystems and our culture and our mindsets before we start the full implementation. We're just running ourselves. I'll give you a simple example here, and I'm going to go away from trade. Renewables, when we started 2004, 2005, everyone thought that we're going to just copy-paste the system from Germany because we were studying that system very thoroughly. No, we did not do it. We customized it to our own weather conditions. We customized the technology to our dust, humidity, high temperature, and then we grow. Guess what now? We're one of the largest five countries in the world when it comes to renewables because we customized it. But just copy-paste the Western technology or practices directly, we're just ruining ourselves. The last one, we have to trust ourselves and we have to continue fulfilling our vision, and we'll do it.
Wonderful tips. We've just got about 7 minutes, and I'm going to get you into the next-gen FDI initiative, which is very, very critical in terms of attracting global talent. Where do you see Indian entrepreneurs come into this picture? What would you tell them about UAE and what it's doing?
Let me simplify the idea of next-gen FDI, because we started this 3 years ago, and the program is very successful, and we're seeing even more engagements, not tech companies, but also the conventional one. We start seeing movements of tech company from east part of Europe, and they're going to Turkey, to Hong Kong, Singapore, and some other part of the world. And we said, why not UAE? And we have to make sure that we build the right ecosystem, because we know our colleagues and stakeholders when it comes to chambers, the local economic departments are doing an excellent job in attracting those companies. But we said we have to ensure that we're fulfilling the gap that is facing those tech companies. We reached out to some, and they said, our main challenge when we go to law firms. And law firms is very costly for a tech company, especially where most of us are startups.
Sorry, what is
law firms? The legal firms,
right.
Because they're charging at least $100,000 to $150,000 just to initiate the process. We told them, you know what? We're going to facilitate this, and we're going to build the whole ecosystem. We don't want you to start your business until you know who's your stakeholder and where you're going to have your base. And we will not dominate. We will not control your decision. We're going to open doors for you in all Emirates, and you decide. And even if they come back to us and ask, which Emirates shall I go? I say, no, it's not my responsibility. It's you who will decide. As a businessman, you want to open in Abu Dhabi, you want to open in Dubai, you want to open in Ras Khaimah, it's your call. We're going to introduce you to everyone. You will understand the incentives and the market. Then you decide. They start signing business deals before opening license. And that's the beauty of next-gen FDI. Wow. They understand stakeholders see their potential, they sign deals, and then they go backward and open license, recruit people, and have the residencies, etc. And that's what the tech people want. They want someone who is going to deploy their technology. And deployment of technology is the big thing that anyone can do to a tech company. We have an interesting stories here. One of them is Gecko. It's an American robotic company. They came here exploring the market. We worked with ADNOC in doing the tanks surveys and maintenance check. They did it free of charge at the beginning just to prove the concept. They saved a lot of shutdown days for ADNOC because of that maintenance without the need for the whole platform to be shut down. And now they're going to sign a big couple of millions deal with ADNOC, and they're going to build a factory in the UAE. But you see how the deployment of technology is critical for tech companies so they can scale it up into a level where they're having even a factory presence here in UAE. That's a small story of many others. I'm sure many of you know Qualcomm. Qualcomm is, as well, they're part of the business delegation who are coming here. They've been here in the market for quite some time. But they've been shopping around, going around, until they became part of the next gen FDI. We start synergizing and harmonizing their communication with the right stakeholders. Now they're going to have a huge presence in the UAE. It's all about the communication and simplifying the way that things are running. And at the end of the day, the businesses want to ensure that they're heard. And this is what we ensure through Next Gen FDI. And now we're expanding. We're going beyond technology. Biotech and pharmaceutical companies are asking for the same, which we're doing. Climate tech companies are asking for the same, which we're doing. Oil and gas and energy are asking for the same, which we're doing. So it's just a matter of building this direct relation with the private sector, and things are moving very well.
And I like your phrase, keep it simple. And those who play cricket, that's one of the big advices, is keep it simple and you will get going. But finally, 3 minutes left. Since this is about India and UAE, just a little personal impressions you have of India. What has been your association? What do you like best of India? And what do you feel, oh, maybe we should do something else?
India has a huge potential. The huge potential is coming from the work that the government, federal and the states level governments, that they have been doing so far. Infrastructure is booming. Things are changing. Things are changing, but taking time, which is fine because for a massive nation like India with 1.4 billion population. You have to continue. They have to continue doing the good things which they started, and they should not be disturbed. A huge potential on the services, especially that low income to mid income is moving. Almost 200 to 250 million people are moving. There is a potential. We have a gap, and we admit it here at the UAE. We only work at the big tickets when it comes to India, and that's why you see most of the investments coming from our sovereign wealth funds, ADIA, Mubadara, ADQ. And usually they look at those big size projects. And we know that we have this discussion many times with Piyush, with the ambassador, and with colleagues from India. We have to start targeting the small to mid tickets. And when you talk about small to mid tickets, it's not even small. They're really big. But because of the resources stretch that we're having with our sovereign wealth funds, we're not capitalizing on this growth. But we promise you we're going to come up with a new mechanism which is going to fulfill that, and this is something which we're taking consideration. Second thing, which is, I think, as well, very critical, continuous communication between both parties. I remember the last two visits, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed's visit, and the one before, the one which His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed Zayed did, as well last year. Many of the private sector came back and they said, you know what, we agreed that we were fooling ourselves because we thought we know the Indian market. But going there and meeting the business people, it's totally different than what we hear from the research and think tanks and even the media. So it's always good to go there, and we really appreciate this frequent visits and engagements. So such engagement is critical, and we should not stop it and we should not limit it. We have to ensure that there is a diversity so we can engage more and more between our businesses. And the potential is high. Now with the geopolitics and geoeconomics, those two nations can do so much together. And we have to capitalize on this time. The opportunity will not come again and again. We have to harvest the results, and we have to ensure that we grasp the opportunity from now. And I think we're doing it, but we're getting distracted with the tariffs, etc., which we shouldn't do. That should not take our full attention. We should pay attention to it, but should not take our full attention.
Don't worry.
Last message. I was with one of the countries trying to initiate a trade and investment discussion with them. They promised that things will move in 3 months. Now we're almost 6 months after my visit. Nothing happened. Why? The minute that the Americans started their tariffs, the whole team starts traveling to Washington, D.C., and it frees everything around with the rest of the world. It does not work that way. You're not depending on one country. You're a nation that has to have a diversity. You should not have your full attention in one country. You're just ruining yourself. And you're not doing it for 3 years or 4 years. You're doing it for a long term. You have to do it for your generation. Diversity. You have to ensure that there is alternatives. That's all. Thank you.
Excellent. Let's give him a very, very warm round of applause, a standing applause for Dr. Thani. Thank you very much, and wonderful tips.